Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barnes, and today we're going to be talking about how the Daily Wire was really censored the other day by when they released What is a Woman Online on Twitter, and we'll talk about all that. And they planned for it to come out on Twitter so everyone could see it, and then Twitter actually censored them. So the morning started with Daily Wire revealing that they were censored by Twitter, which Elon Musk, I saw some people say, man, it must be something to be Elon Musk, go to bed, think everything's fine, and then wake up and everything's on fire. So Elon, I'm assuming, did a lot of things behind the scenes, flexed his muscles as the boss. There were some people who actually ended up resigning, and the movie is up, and it's got like 40 million views on Twitter. So that's a great, if you haven't seen the film, it's a good film and you should go watch it. Also, the Daily Wire reported that Lizzo was thinking about quitting music because of some body shaming that she's been going through. So I think I want to talk about that because not too long ago we had a conversation about how so many people, think about these heroes who are, body positive. And I'm like, don't have body positive heroes because at one point, somebody is probably going to be like, I need to lose some weight, and it's happened multiple times. And now, and I don't know if she will or she won't, but her bigness has been like a gimmick and now it's kind of starting to weigh on her. And, people are relentless on the internet. And if you're on the internet for anything, you need to just kind of thicken your skin. But I know she gets it pretty bad, but at the same time she has definitely used her size as a gimmick. So I want to talk about the complexities of that. But before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. Please check out different merch that we have at the store, such as, well, we got the black tea mug. I've gotten to a lot of conversations about abortion recently, and I'm just like, I made this shirt because I'm like, my money, my business. Like, they're not even hiding anymore that they want you to provide for abortions and stuff. So I put it on a t-shirt, but I think there's other reasons beyond that why we should care. But at the very least, we're talking about people's money paying for it. Like the other day, I can't remember if I mentioned this yesterday or not, but someone, I think I did mention this yesterday, but someone told me that I should focus my attention on getting something like universal health care, which I'm not a fan of the idea of universal health care. For example, I'll just say this. One of the reasons why the Supreme Court decided to rule that Joe Biden could force, hospitals or whatever to get the jab is because they received dollars like Medicaid, Medicare, whatever. So because the federal dollars were involved, the federal authority could come through. So if everyone is entangled within their health care being ran by the government on some degree, you're basically compromising yourself entirely for what the government may or may not do to you. So just know that every time there's government involvement or government perks, they come with government strings attached. So there's more reasons, but that's a big one I think people should consider. But yeah, I'm not for the idea of universal health care or Medicare for all, for example. People were pushing very hard, and then people were saying, well, no, it won't compromise your private healthcare insurance. And then they're like, well, it will, but it's only fair if we do things this way. So I'm just kind of like, I have an uncle, for example, who has like the top tier stuff that you can get. And he's used his healthcare to take care of his disabled daughter, for an example. So I'm like, why should he lose his top tier stuff so everyone can have something mediocre? Those things didn't make sense to me. But also, though, going back and forth with this particular person, I'm like, okay, but Canada has like universal health care, and they use that universal health care to pay for women's abortions. So why should I try to get universal health care? Stop focusing on like trying to save babies. I know everybody doesn't think of saving babies. They are babies. They are alive. Abortion does kill them. It is what it is. But I'm like, if my mission is to not have babies be killed, and you're like, nope, screw that. Forget that. I need you to make sure that everybody gets health care, and it does universal health care in this particular way. And then I shift my mission, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, we got universal health care, so now we can use that to pay for the abortions. Why would I want to do that? Like, even if you don't agree with me, just tell me why would I want to do that. So just think about things a little more, guys. But we do have other shirts and things you guys can check out at blackteennews.com. So check out the different merch that we have at the store. Thank you guys for watching live. What people who watch it back, thank you as well. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blackteennews.com/donate. Cost to stream, cost to run my website, all the good stuff. So if you can't support in that way, God bless you. Thank you very much. If you can't, I understand. Thank you guys for doing all that you do. And if you're watching on Facebook, you can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send super chats and also what is it, like stickers and stuff. So before I move on and get to like my funnies for the day, I do want to encourage you guys to check out my book. Of course, God is blatantly against abortion. It is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, but most people are getting it from Amazon. So you guys can get it in paperback. You guys can get it in ebook. And it covers a lot of stuff, not just theology, but it covers science. It covers philosophy. You know, it talks about rights and separation of church and state, why we need, you know, absolutes, and the idea that everybody really does try to, you know, interject and legislate their morality. So it's not just, you know, Christians or whatever doing that. And I give pretty detailed examples and stuff. So it covers a lot of subjects. But I want to tell you about a conversation that I had yesterday and moving on to today. So yesterday I was I did a video and then someone interjected and started, you know, saying like normal sort of pro-abortion sort of things. And they used a lot of, they kind of switched in because it seemed like it was very like my body, my choice. But then they kept using examples for like medical reasons. And so I said, well, do you support abortion outside of medical reasons? Like, would you be okay with a ban? Like if we just gave it medical reasons or whatever? And they're like, well, you'd also have to include SA, like when someone's sexual assaulted, and you have to include when minors have to be able to have abortions because I guess their thinking was that they can't consent or whatever. But that's true as far as legally what we consider kids being able to consent or not. But some of these kids are knowingly and agreeingly choosing to fornicate. So like if a 17-year-old, for example, like a friend of mine had an abortion at 17, and it was like second trimester, and it was a 2-day procedure. It ended up being like a nightmare for her. But she had that abortion, in her words, for a blank slate. And not too long after that, she got pregnant again and ended up having a miscarriage, but she wanted to keep that baby. So just because I think that's more complicated, but I just decided to grant all those things to her. And I said, well, considering the fact that like from available data, because not everybody reports and gives specific reasons, but from available data, we know that like sexual assault, medical issues, and not just like the baby's incompatible with life or whatever, or the mother is going to die, but just medical reasons that women's side, that could be like the child, you know, has Down syndrome or something, and that's maybe included in medical reasons. I don't think that's right, but you know, let's say all those reasons are like 5% altogether. And women who have abortion, according to the CDC, the data, about almost 90% are women from ages 20 to 40. If women get abortions later than that, it's usually they're done with their child, rearing years, and they don't want to be pregnant anymore. But people have their bleeding hearts for kids and minors having abortions and stuff, but that is a very, 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 very low percentage of people actually going out there and having abortions. So most people who have them are grown women who make grown people decisions when they engage in the naked tango, and then they decide that they don't want to bear that particular responsibility. So that's what it is most times. So I said, okay, so what you're describing is probably like, apparently you don't agree with like 90% of abortions. Let's say it's like 90%. So if you don't agree with like 90% of abortions, why don't you just say that you're pro-life with exceptions? That makes more sense to me, right? Like, you're for the right to life, but maybe there's circumstances or instances where, you have to make some kind of exception, of course, like for the mother's life, etc. Which that really, really, really happens. But let's grant it. Let's just grant the premise or whatever. So then she said, because it's a woman's choice, and I knew that she was full of crap when she pretended she only had like those three like issues with it. So I did a video on the exchange to highlight how these conversations go. But to me, it seems like a lot of people who like inherently know abortion isn't good. They know it's bad. They wouldn't personally want to do it themselves or whatever, but they just feel it's too mean. At the end of the day, I think they just feel it's too mean to tell the woman, no, you can't have an abortion. And I think that's a little wild, considering what the abortion does and what it is. So, I mean, the methods used, it is suffocation/starvation with the pill. It is dismemberment if they do it with the tubes, or they do it with, the suction, or they do it with the forceps or whatever, or lethal injection, when they have to do like a really late term procedure and they inject the baby in the heart, and it ends up dying, and you carry it for a few days while your body gets ready to actually like deliver the dead baby. And that happens more often than you would like to think. And on healthy, viable babies, on healthy women. We talked about that a few weeks ago with Dr. Warren Hearn, who's a notorious abortion doctor, and he has a clinic in Colorado. And they have women who go there all the time who, and they said about half the women that they see don't have like devastating kind of medical issue reasons or whatever. He's done 2 abortions, at least for like sex, because one patient wanted a boy and one patient wanted a girl, and they didn't get it, so he killed the babies. So, I know we don't like to think that happens, but it has happened, and that's what people advocate for. That's what the abortion lobby advocates for. That's what basically every Democrat that you're going to vote for supports. Beto O'Rourke, Stacey Abrams, my Governor Gretchen Whitmer, my Congresswoman. I talked to Haley Stevens myself, and that's how they feel. They don't want to say that, but if you push them, that's what it is. They don't believe on any limitations. It's because it's a woman's right. So, if you do believe in just a woman's choice and a woman's right, and she can decide whatever, you got to know that will include, and I've been told this, like, women need abortion because they have a one night stand in a club or whatever, and they get knocked up. I've heard women having abortions, and I don't know this person directly, but I know someone who knows this guy who this happened to, but, his ex had an abortion basically to spite him. And I've heard of that happening multiple times. And not to that person, but to other men. That includes if a woman doesn't want a boy, so she goes has an abortion because she wants a girl. That includes the people who want a blank slate. That includes all kinds of reasons. So if you say you don't like abortion being used as birth control, but you say it's a woman's choice, how do those things make sense together? They don't. So if you support her choice, Like I think people feel like if they just say, well, that's her choice, and then that it just kind of absolves them of any sort of, you know, responsibility to it. But let me give you this example, and then I will move on. Let's say, and I've said this before, and I've said this in my book too. But let's look at like Asians. There's a lot of Asian discrimination and Asian hate and stuff today, right? So what if we all decided as a nation, got together and decided that, well, Asians don't deserve to be protected from violence. Okay, let's say we decided it's a right to be able to harm them. Not that you have to harm them, not that you personally have to choose to harm them, but that is a right that we have decided that because a right to life is a right to not be killed. So let's say that we decide all together, I'm assuming the Asians wouldn't agree with this, but we're outnumbering them, that people have a right to do harm to them. Now you may say, well, that's not my choice. I wouldn't do that myself, but I support their right to do that, to cause the harm. That's what it's like. So people really feel that the woman's choice is a very neutral position. It's not. It's really, really not. So if there's like areas in the abortion debate where you feel kind of iffy on, like I understand people feeling iffy on like the sexual assault and incest and the medical stuff, which life of the mother, like just grant that, guys. It's rarely ever happens, but you know those are things we can talk about. But let's at least say that we're gonna be pro-life, but that we should talk about the exceptions, because this blanket on demand abortion stuff is not good. And it's like 95% of the abortions that happen. And there's like 1 million abortions a year in the US. And I know everybody can have circumstances that make it tough, but are those circumstances justifiable to end someone else's life? And I guess you can answer that question by just imagining, would you accept that scenario if that was a baby that was like a few days old? Would you accept, you can't raise it, so you kill it? If it's a 10-day-old baby, or, they're a year old or whatever. And I understand there's a conflict of the rights with a woman because it's in her body, but that also didn't happen magically as well either. So I believe we should maximize the most liberty for both parties involved. And in order to do that, you got to grant the kid the life for like the 9 months, But we can talk about that at a later time. Again, encourage you guys to check out Of Course God is Blatantly Against Abortion. It is available on Amazon. And if you didn't know, my baby sister is the one who did this amazing artwork here. So very much appreciate what she did. So anyway, I do have a funny thing. So I saw that Joe Biden's fall was trending the other day. And I didn't go to look up the fall. And then my sister was like, you need to go look at the fall. And so it was pretty bad. And I didn't see all the Twitter back and forth and social media, but it seemed like from how people were responding, there are people criticizing and chastising people for criticizing, for like laughing at Biden falling and stuff. And Ben Shapiro made the point, like, either he's like tip top shape, guys, and everything, or we're bad people for laughing at a crippled, sick old man. Like, it's one or the other. So I didn't laugh when I saw it. I was just like, how did that happen? And oh gosh, that does look bad. And he's had a couple falls. Not that people can't fall, it tends to happen, less a lot when you're a kid and less when you're older, unless you have like your klutz or something. But anyway, I have not watched this, so we will both react to it at the same time, I suppose. But this guy does a great Trump impression. So he's looking at the Biden fall scene. So let's go ahead and I guess we'll live react with this.
Graduation day, United States Air Force, and down goes Sleepy Joe, and the crowd goes crazy. Best crowd response he's ever gotten, believe it or not. He went down harder and faster than his poll numbers and couldn't even get back off the ground. Look at that. What a disgrace. Let's take another look. Slow motion, and down he goes. Down goes Sleepy Joe. And he's on the ground now. And take a look at this. He's going to try to get up. And he can't do it. He's back down on the ground. And then he points. Take a look at this. He's going to point. What do you think took him down? White supremacy? Look at that. He said, there it was. The ghost of Corn Pop took me down. What a disgrace. Never would have happened if graduation day, United States.
So he Captain Deplorable does such a good Trump impression. I definitely do follow him on TikTok. So yeah, he did go down. Here's a it's when these things do happen, people make so many memes and jokes about Kamala Harris being like the one who's secretly to do something. So this was the meme I was going to originally show you guys before I stumbled upon that video, but we got a break in Biden there with Kamala Harris, because you know she's a wicked woman and who happens to be the vice president waiting in the wings to take that power, because she would never be able to have that job in any other scenario. So funny stuff. Anyway, let's talk about the Daily Wire and what is a woman. I also want to play a scene for you guys from the film. So FYI, first of all, it is available. The full thing is available on Twitter. So they decided, anniversary of the film being released, they decided they were going to put it on Twitter, and there was these issues. And I was going to read the whole thread, but maybe I'll just explain what happened. So yesterday, I think it was fairly early, Jeremy Boring, who's the head of Daily Wire, said that they wanted to commemorate the anniversary of What is a Woman, so they wanted to show the whole thing on Twitter. So Twitter was like happy about it at first. And so they made a deal for them and stuff to show it and air it or whatever, and had this package for them, especially to like boost it and whatnot. So before they wanted to allow it to be aired, they're like, well, let's see what it is. Can we screen it first? And so they sent it to Twitter. And so Twitter looked at it, and after they looked at it, they said it was that it was hateful or whatever, and that they wouldn't give them the package that they said that they could have, that they wouldn't allow them to use their stuff to boost it. And there were two things in particular that they found that were wrong and hateful, and there was instances of misgendering. They call it misgendering anyway. There was a shopkeeper who was very feisty and honest, who they said was hateful, and then there was like a father who referred to his child in the right way, but they said it was misgendering. So they were like, we like, Twitter, we like Elon, but and he's not beholden to conservatives, but if he doesn't do something like, then this isn't the bastion of free speech we thought it was, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of like, it's interesting. They said they did try to handle things internally, and I believe that. I don't know if anyone of Daily Wire has a speed dial to Elon or anything like that, or that kind of access, but I believe that they probably tried to work it out within Twitter. But you know how sometimes you'll like maybe put something on Twitter or somewhere on social media to complain about something, hoping to get the attention of like a restaurant or a store or something, and maybe for them to rectify the situation. I guess that's what it seems like. But there's like, if someone did have Elon's speed dial or a number or something, like they could have reached out and had him try to do things behind the scene. Because as I said at the top of the hour, Elon probably went to bed thinking, oh, everything's great, the world's great. You wake up and it's like, Twitter is not a bastion of free speech. They censored Daily Wire and What is a Woman? So he's like, so Elon said it was a mistake. And so he, I guess, probably did a lot of things behind the scenes we don't know about or whatever. But so they were like, well, we're going to post the movie at 8 p.m. So they start posting things, and it was still like labeled. You could, as different warnings or whatever. And then when they did post the film, because I saw it was up last night, and you couldn't retweet it. It still had a lot of views, but you couldn't retweet it. So I actually just copied the link or whatever, and I did put it on Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook or whatever, the link is on my page to the actual Twitter handle where you can watch it. But they wouldn't let you retweet it, and usually like retweets, that's what people do to boost engagement and stuff. So Elon did reverse it or fix whatever. From reporting, I heard that there were 2 people who resigned from Twitter. Let me see if I can get their names, but their safety team and trust folks, I think there were 2 people who ended up resigning from that. And I don't know if they resigned or if Elon was like, y'all got to get out. This is what I'm curious about. Raw Alerts wrote, the breaking Twitter heads of the trust and safety, Ella Iren, says she has resigned from the company today. And then they gave an update later, said another employee at Twitter's brand safety, May Ayed, has just also resigned from the company. So I guess 2 people left in defiance. So I guess they still have woke people there. Most people, I saw people having conversations just about all this to have like real world jobs. And it's just like, you're an employee, you're a cog in the machine working to the goal of someone else. It's like, why can't you just not be political and do your job? Because it's not like you don't know that Elon Musk would have wanted like the movie up or whatever and not to have this backlash. So why the drama? Because Daily Wire was probably like, that meme with that black guy that's like, they're like, we tried to handle this internally. I believe they did, and apparently they did, but they were probably like, engagement. They were probably so happy though. They were probably like confused and irritated and indignant and all kinds of complicated feelings. But when something happens and you're like, oh, this is gonna help me blow up, they probably had that feeling. so all they really did, these people who are trying to block the date, What Is a Woman from showing, all they did was just make it so more people could see what was happening and what was going on. That's what happened in the long run, because Elon Musk was like, well, here's the Streisand effect. And if you don't know what the Streisand effect was, there's some kind of photographer who took a photo and it was like, you could see her house or something. So she tried to sue for them not to show the photo or whatever, and ended up just making more people like see it or something like that. And so, Elon, the attention that it got from the censorship helped to boost more eyes on the movie itself. And I'm sure that, Daily Wire's happy about that for sure, And Elon Musk, not only did he retweet and promote it, it's now his pinned tweet right now. And he's saying every parent needs to watch this. And last I saw, it hit like 40 million views. Matt said it was like 45, but I mean, when I look at the video, it says 30, it's like 39 or 38 million or something like that, which is crazy. A funny thing to note, though, is that when the film came out, there was a lot of discussion from people that are like, why don't y'all just put the movie out for free? If it's so important and you want people to watch it, why not just let people watch it for free? And I was a little torn about that, because I'm like, they made it. They need to make money from it in order to support their company. And as a matter of fact, I have a Daily Wire subscription because of What Is a Woman. I saw like, I watched a movie they put out, 2 of the movies they put out for free on YouTube when they streamed them live or whatever. But What Is a Woman, they wanted to use something like that to help draw subscriptions. And I didn't want to pay like a large one up front. So I ended up paying like the $14 one a month or whatever, which I guess I should have just did it up front or whatever. Because I guess because they've got me every month. Every time it hits me, I'm like, oh, it's still there. And a lot of their articles, though, you do have to be subscribed. to read them, and I think there's good content on there that's well worth watching. I like the Exodus stuff with Jordan Peterson. I like the I think the Clarence Thomas documentary is a must watch. I like Ben's debunk stuff. Candace's show you had to be subscribed to watch, but now all their shows are streaming on Twitter. So there's reasons to subscribe, but that was the reason why I like got out my debit card and decided to pay and subscribe. So I think it's good that they decided to have it behind a paywall, but at the same time, if this was such an important cultural thing, which a lot of people who are opposed to it or not interested or who are opposed to it and interested in it in some kind of way did watch it. People went to viewings or whatever, so people found a way. They're really curious, but now it's for free and everybody can see it now. At least like it's got about 40 million views on Twitter. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive, pretty interesting. And you have the richest man in the world telling everybody who has a huge following himself on the platform that you need to watch it. And I think people do need to watch it because it does really show how the ideology just really, really, really falls apart. So I'm going to play a scene from it. There's so many good scenes from the film, but I think this one is pretty interesting, pretty telling. So that's why I want to share this particular one. So because I have some commentary to add after it's finished. Not much, but so if you haven't seen it, this is a clip again from What is a Woman. I'm just streaming it right from the YouTube. I mean from the Twitter. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it tonight.
Existence, women were understood to be a certain thing. So what changed? No one can seem to answer the question now. Over 2,000 surgeries and counting, Dr. Marcy Bowers is the nation's preeminent sex change surgeon. Surely someone who does sex change surgeries can answer what a woman is. Dr. Marcy Bowers, first of all, thanks for talking to us.
My pleasure.
So you're a world-renowned gynecologist and surgeon. You're also a transgender woman. Can you tell me a little bit about...
Well, I mean, I identify as a woman, but...
You're a woman, right.
I'm a woman with, I mean, that's my life, day to day, but I have a transgender history.
So one thing on your website, it says gender-affirmed, GAV, gender-affirming vaginoplasty. What is that exactly?
A vaginoplasty is creation of female, a female vagina and vulva. We're altering the physical characteristics of the individual to fit better with a gender identity that is female.
This is all constructed from the penis?
Yes, that's right. The surgeries are quite refined in the sense that they really, not only do they look like female anatomy, but they also function that way, for the most part. I mean, certainly it's a bit of a Faustian bargain. You know, it's not perfect.
Does anyone ever regret their surgeries? Or, well, we know they do, but how often do people regret their surgeries?
Well, actually, we don't know that they do. There are legitimate detransitioners, and there are people who truly feel that in their journey, they may have made a mistake. Now, fortunately, this is a really, really uncommon phenomenon.
I don't know if you've ever heard of people in the trans-abled community. These are people who are physically able-bodied but feel like they should be disabled or identify as such. For example, a man who has 2 arms but feels like he should have 1. If a man in this kind of marginalized community went to the doctor and said, I want to have my arm cut off, do you think that...
That doesn't have anything to do with gender identity.
Well, it's someone's self-identity, how someone identifies.
That's someone who has and I'll accept it as a mental diagnosis, a psychiatric condition. I don't even pretend to know what aptomenophilia is all about, but somehow it's the idea that you're fascinated or charmed by having a limb or part of a limb missing. Okay, I would say that's, pardon my non-medical language, kooky.
You don't see any? You think this is totally irrelevant?
Yep.
So the biggest, broadest question is, what is a woman?
A woman is it's a combination of your physical attributes and then what you're showing to the world and the gender clues that you give. And hopefully those match your gender identity.
The critics on the other side of this, of this issue,
There aren't many, but go ahead.
there aren't many who would disagree with what you're saying about.
Well, the dinosaurs of the world are certainly out there. Yeah.
So, hopefully I don't get dinged on YouTube for copyright, but lots and lots of things to unpack there. So, the reason why I wanted to show that is Matt bringing up the example of cutting off your limb because they feel like they want to or need a missing limb or whatever, and the doctor could just see no connection with that at all, and then had the nerve to call them kooky. So, I thought that was great. Just like no self awareness at all. I think Matt's deadpan, like monotone, serious kind of tone, is works really well for the film. But he's not like disrespectful to anybody really in the film. He's just asking simple questions if you haven't seen it. And again, it's well worth watching. But he did such a good job with the film. It was really good. So the comment that the doctor made about not being a trans woman, like they having a transgender history and now they're just a woman because that's the way that they live their life. Obviously that's not the case. And that's not true, but I think, I have a lot of conversations about gender and sex and bathrooms and all kinds of things. And I've been saying as of late, I think the reason why people try to separate sex and gender, and I think the reason why they do that isn't because they really want them to be separate. It's because they want to undermine sex entirely eventually. And I've showed examples of like, well, you see a lot of things that are biological that they incorporate into like inclusive language. Like I showed you guys yesterday, was it the United Nations or something had something about menstrual cycles or something, and they kept mentioning like, menstruation is a human, condition or something, and just use things that were like very inclusive, but only if you don't want to use the word woman, why not use the word female? Because men don't menstruate, right? So they try to incorporate these biological things. But the truth is, I mean, people use transgender. We know what that means, trans woman, trans men, but you can't transition into anything. You can inject yourself with drugs and, have surgery and all that kind of stuff. But the where you started off in life, you're still technically going to be the same. There's going to be some outward things that have changed, and you can live socially however you want. And you could, by the way, you could live socially however you want as a man without doing any sort of changing at all. But the question is, how will everyone else treat you? So, I thought that was fascinating that they just considered themselves to actually just be a woman. And, there's plenty of trans people that are just like, no, I'm not a woman. But I think a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot, but there's definitely trans people who are like, I'm a type of woman, and I take issue with that too. So I've talked a few days about Kelly. On Friday, I think it was, we went to like watch a video about Kelly and talked a lot at length. And I mentioned Kelly yesterday, but Kelly keeps like moving, boom, boom, boom. Like Kelly's a grifter, and Kelly, I've just quick summary. Kelly, transition young. So Kelly has the Adam's apple and big hands and stuff, but it's fairly possible. Um, and it's pretty passable. Fairly, Kelly could pass. So Kelly started saying that Kelly started speaking up because Kelly didn't like the left talking about the Covenant shooter and respecting their pronouns and stuff. So then Kelly started saying things like, "I transition as a minor, but people shouldn't transition as a minor." But the first time I saw Kelly, though, Kelly was saying that his vajayjay was better than a real woman's vajayjay. So I'm just like, I don't trust this person is on the right. So Kelly kept coming up with videos and saying, well, now I'm on the right, blah blah blah. But everything I saw was trans related, and just kind of the reaction to the less reaction, and just reacting to how radical they are. We're talking about, like, abortion and other things, that subjects that are on the right that we talk about often. So then eventually Kelly was just like, you know what, the right doesn't care about me, they don't like me, I think I'm a centrist, or maybe I need to go back to the left or something, because but Kelly mentioned that I thought I was going to be on the Daily Wire, I thought I was going to be the next Candace Owens, and had all these dreams. I'm just like, you have no foundation of what you believe. It's just all totally centered around this. But anyway, Kelly keeps saying that Kelly is a woman, and Kelly keeps saying, like, well, why can't you guys respect me? Because I respect you. I don't call you cis, so I call you biological woman instead. But I know a lot of people do say I'm a biological woman or whatever, and people kind of need to start peeling themselves away from saying that, because it's redundant. The only kind of woman there is a biological woman, is a cis woman or whatever. That's what the cis, kind of means. So to keep saying there's a biological woman and opening the door as if there's some kind of other woman, we need to kind of stop that. So, you can identify as a woman. We accept that that's how you identify, or how you want to live your life socially or whatever. We understand that, but I cannot accept you as a woman because you are not. And it's not a personal thing. It's not a personal thing at all. I'm not trying to be personally mean to Kelly or any trans person out there. But I do think it's important to stand up for the subjective truth, whether you look at it as from a God's design kind of way, or just a biological sort of way about us being a binary species. I think it's important to stand up for it, and not continue with the social contagion, and not continue with the what did Yuri call it? The Yuri, the Russian agent, the demoralization of our society. So because he talked about, once you get to a state where society has been so demoralized, you can convince them of anything can be true, and that's how you destroy a civilization, a country or whatever. And Yuri was an ex, like, communist KGB kind of person, and what he used to do was radicalize people who came over or whatever. And so he has a pretty interesting interview. If you haven't watched it, you can find it on YouTube. He talked about what he used to do, and he basically said it was already too late for the United States, and he said that in the 80s. So it's very concerning to watch, but it's interesting, it's fascinating. You guys should watch it. Anyway, let's move on to the Lizzo story. So Lizzo, if you don't know Lizzo is a very famous singer, very popular singer. And Lizzo has a lot of hits that you probably heard on TV and other places. But Lizzo is big gal, and we're about the same age. She's a little older than me. And apparently she was talking about quitting music, and I don't think she's going to do that. She's kind of like at the height of her career, but I think it's a little surprising how frustrated I guess she is about the situation. So Daily Wire reported that she's close to quitting music because of the comments about her body. So, and I wonder if because there was a lot of comments recently about she did like a little tribute to Tina Turner, and I saw that video circulating around. But Lizzo has a lot of pictures online and does a lot of kind of shameless things. And I don't like. There's things that things that she does and things that she wears that I would take issue with a thin person doing that kind of stuff, and maybe guys wouldn't or whatever, but I do. Um, but she does those things, and she's very large, so she gets a lot of hate and a lot of comments. But she her brand is kind of reveling in being this shameless big girl. And I don't mean just shameless like body positive kind of thing, but shameless as in kind of gross. And as far as her how she portrays herself. And maybe she's, I don't know, trying to grow out of it a bit or whatever. And but my thing about Lizzo, I don't connect to her music. I don't like her music. Not because I'm not saying she doesn't have good beats or whatever. She's got things that are catchy. I just don't relate to her type of stuff that she writes about. It's not my zhuzh. It's not my thing. But she's obviously very famous, very talented. There's that video of her playing the flute and stuff. I think it was at the Capitol, and she's actually very talented. Has worked very hard to get where she is. So I'm kind of baffled because I'm like, she doesn't need the fat gimmick to be where she is, but she's definitely excelled because of the body positivity age that we're living in. So this is an interesting turn. And before we get to the article, a week ago or so, I was talking to you guys about how if people have like fat icons, you just need to kind of stop it, because at some point, a lot of these folks just have a turn or a shift. Adele, for example, was kind of like, I don't care about my weight. I'm busy working and doing my thing. I'm like, that's true. She is very busy doing her thing. Next thing you know, she's super skinny. And before that, Lena Dunham, who's on Girls and just kind of is notorious for being kind of gross and whatever. She lost some weight and was like, no, it actually feels good, when you start losing weight and etc. And then you had a fat Amy from like Pitch Perfect and stuff, who was no longer fat. And I think initially she started losing some weight because she wanted to have a baby. And I think she has a female partner, I think. And then they just got a surrogate, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think she ended up having the baby herself. But like, people start making decisions, especially as they get older. And you're like, you're putting a lot of pressure on your body. And you're like, and you don't want to be very... getting way past the point of where you're really fighting an uphill battle with your metabolism, and you start making some decisions. Some people make surgery decisions. There's, rumors about celebrities injecting themselves or taking some kind of like medicine pills or whatever that's rapidly making them lose weight, and that's apparently a trend or whatever. I mean, I saw Candace Owens talk about it, but I didn't look too deep into it myself. So there's all kind of ways that people are deciding to lose weight, but if you're looking at other fat people and they're your icons and you're like, they're fat, they're killing it, and I can kill it too and be big, just know that people start thinking about priorities and how hard life is in the big body, and how it might be, in that big body, especially as you're getting older and stuff starts breaking down, and you have to break down with all that weight pressure on it. Like, just make good decisions for yourself. Don't all the body positivity and stuff. Like, I don't believe in being cruel to yourself and looking in the mirror and tearing yourself down or anything like that. You gotta love the body that you're in for the time that you're in it, but that doesn't mean that you can't aspire to something else in the meantime. So my 2 cents, but let's talk about the actual article. Lizzo said she's considering quitting the music business because of negative comments about her body. The 35-year-old musician shared a screenshot of a critical message she received and included a caption that said, "I just logged on to the app, and this is the type of bleep I see about me on a daily basis. It really starting to make me hate the world," Lizzo continued, according to Billboard. Then someone in the comments said, "I eat lots of fast food. I literally stopped eating fast food 5 years fast food years ago. I'm tired of explaining myself all the time, and I just want to get on this app without seeing my name in some BS. Lizzo also set her tweets to protected so they can only be viewed by followers. The love definitely do not outweigh the hate on social media, all because I'm fat, she wrote in a follow-up, followed by a message that said, y'all don't know how close I am to giving up on everyone and quitting and enjoying my money and my man on a bleeping farm. I literally never search my name. This stuff just comes up on my timeline. My For You page is wild, probably because you are Lizzo. Lizzo tweeted, I swear, I just want to look at dance videos and science news, and this bleep comes in every day. Her tirade against naysayers went on. I'm not trying to be fat. I'm not trying to be smaller. I'm literally just trying to live and be healthy, she wrote. This is what my body looks like, even when I'm eating super clean and working out. Y'all speak on bleep y'all don't know nothing about, and I'm starting to get heated, she said. Lizzo often addresses her weight and professes to love her body just the way it is. As I got more professional in my career, I started to take the physical part more seriously. She said in a video posted on May 15th, I've always loved moving my body. I've always loved working out. I think a lot of people see a fat person that way and immediately just assume everything they are doing is trying to be thin. She went on, I'm not trying to be thin. I don't ever want to be thin. So, she's not trying to be thin or whatever, and you don't have to be like super small, but she is a big gal. So, being, and why would she want to be thin right now? It's part of her gimmick. Being a big girl and the body positive thing is a part of her gimmick in achieving fame or whatever. And I'm pretty sure sometimes how she dressed and looked like a hot big mess, it's part of her gimmick. And my sister, my younger sister, was smiling kind of evilly and laughing one day. She's like, I like to show my dad pictures of Liz to watch the disgust on his face. And it's not just because she's big, but it's because of what she wears. And so seeing the reaction when you've kind of, I'm not saying everything that people say about her is right or whatever, but what are you expecting? What are you expecting? Now, the internet is just cruel. It cruel to everyone. I don't get a lot of comments about, not a lot, like not proportionately, I think it's so weird that the most comments about me that I get are about not my eyebrows, I'm sorry, they are a little weird though, are about my gap teeth. Like that's like the number one thing people talk about, and I don't really understand that. And I didn't grow up in a world where that was like a huge negative or whatever. I've so it's like I've been told it was a beauty mark. Now whether you agree with that or not doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, like, whatever negative association you have with a gap, I don't have that. So when people point it out, I'm just like thanks for noticing. Like it's not a big deal. It's really not. But that's the number one thing people talk about. People usually would talk about my weight if I mention something like biblical, they'll be like, you're going to hell because you're fat or something. And I'm like, where did you read that in the Bible? But but people don't mention my weight too often. But I imagine as my subscriber count keeps ticking up or whatever, that'll probably be the case. But I won't lie. I saw a video of Lizzo recently, and I was like, man, I need to lose some weight. So so I don't know. It's not the plan to be big forever, but I guess it wasn't the plan to be this big forever anyway. Anyway, in Lizzo's case, she might not eat fast food. I've seen TikToks with her flaunting eating a lot, right? Or just eating stuff. And if you're a big person and you're making videos with food, you just be ready for that kind of hate that might go along with it. She obviously does exercise or moves around a lot to keep up with the pace of her shows, and they do dancing. It's not like, as intensive as you would see like smaller people or like a J-Lo concert or something like that. She doesn't move like that or something, but she does move. She's 100% more active probably than I am, for sure. But I'm not a dietitian or something, but I would assume that she's either eating still a lot or at maybe the wrong times of day, or eating the wrong things to kind of maintain her size. But your body can get used to kind of what you put out, and you have to adjust if you hit some kind of wall. But it doesn't sound like she really wants to be smaller. She just doesn't want people to keep talking about her. But again, that's the brand that she built. And I'm not giving people green light to be mean and rude, but I'm just a wee bit baffled. So, I don't know. You guys can tell me what you think. As I said, I'm a wee bit baffled about Miss Lizzo here. Because I've been saying repeatedly, I'm like, she doesn't need this gimmick. She is talented. Now, would she be where she is right now if she didn't use that gimmick? I don't know. I'm not too in with the music or whatever, so maybe she would have, maybe she wouldn't, but it did. I saw Lizzo comes up in my feed and in the news and on social media in my algorithm, not so much because of her music, but because Lizzo did something kind of like sexual, and she's wearing a thong or something, and you can see, her butt. So, I guess long story short, be careful about what you decide to put out on the internet and how you plan to portray yourself, because you might create a monster or sort of vision that you don't want to be known as. But it's going to be very hard to escape that if she doesn't, like, I guess, lose a lot of weight, to be frank. And I don't think she necessarily wants to do that, but she should at some point make that decision to start slimming down. Again, life gets harder the older you get. Can you imagine Biden being that big and having all those falls that he's having, So, Lizzo. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Please check out my book, Of Course God is Blatantly Against Abortion. As far as yesterday's announcement, and I did send out an email that June is Life Month as far as I'm concerned, so I will be making a lot of content or putting out content regarding that topic, this issue, and also having some people on. So I was, making some, doing some scheduling today with some folks, so I will let you know. I think I won't maybe do so much like the normal show will be broken up to different interviews. I think I'll do like, at least my plan, what I'm discussing right now, is maybe like on a Tuesday night or something in the evening, it'll be some kind of interview or something like that. So it'll be like more content, not like the content totally being derailed or something. And there'll be other videos and stuff put out, and more merch, and more articles, etc. So if you're not following, if you're not subscribed, make sure that you guys do that. Hit the notification bells. Make sure that you sign up for emails on the website, because, never know when big tech is going to censor or do whatever. So go to the website, sign up for the email, so you're getting different alerts, so you know when there's events or, a article that you might have missed, etc. Check out stuff on, the website, and also check out the merch that I do have on there right now, like I got the black tea mug, and I also got, some gender related stuff, XX Club. But the Roe and Casey aborted and Life Wins shirts. So you guys can pick that up at the store right now. God bless you guys, and I will see you Monday.